This video is for developers and architects who want to quickly start with a mobile application or a web application development without having to worry much about the backend development setup and deployment. So today we'll speak about AWS Amplify. Hi, this is Jitesh from Developer Perspective, where we help you get the latest trends, technologies and tools in the software development ecosystem. If you are new here, make sure you click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon. So let's now jump into it. AWS Amplify is a set of tools and services which enables mobile and front-end web developers to build secure, scalable, full-stack applications powered by AWS. I always have observed when it comes to any application development, the most important factors driving the development is anything related to what a client or a user sees. That is UI, app flow, ease of usability and accessibility. Whereas the backend, which does actually the heavy lifting of the application, is always underrated as it doesn't directly interact with the end user. So that's where AWS Amplify comes into picture. AWS Amplify helps you focus on the app flow, UI and other aspects related to the actual features of the application and automates the backend development integrations and other stuffs. Now you only need to build your application as per your design and ship it right away for validation. Disclaimer: AWS Amplify is a very vast tool and has tons of integration which includes features of AI, ML or analytics, custom onboarding flows, real-time chatbots, targeted campaigns and many more. We are just scratching the surface of the features which AWS Amplify provides. If you want to dig deep into the features provided by AWS Amplify, please put in a comment below as that will help me decide what features I should speak about in the upcoming videos. So today we'll speak about the installation and setup of AWS Amplify. Then we'll create a React Native application and we'll connect that application to the backend via the AWS Amplify API, and then we'll add authentication to that same application using the Amplify feature of auth. Then we'll try to run that application and check how things work and how the integration goes. And then we'll do a review and rating of all the different features of AWS Amplify. So let's start with the installation and setup of AWS Amplify. So this is the AWS Amplify's website where you can just click on get started for free. Here you have two options to set up your application. So that can be a mobile or web app or a static web application. So we'll go for mobile web application. So here if you see, there are two different sections of platform or frameworks which you can use. So there is a web framework or a mobile framework. So in web we have JavaScript, React, Angular and Vue. Whereas in mobile we have Android, iOS, React Native and Ionic. So we'll go for a mobile application development using React Native. So just click on React Native. So here you will find all the documentation required to start with the application and the prerequisite of the application development. So AWS Amplify frameworks provide you with CLI, libraries and UI components which you can see here. Also the backend API and the database creation is handled by GraphQL. GraphQL is an open source data query and manipulation language for APIs which helps you quickly start with the backend development with just a schema in place. So we'll be using this tutorial to set up the application. So let's quickly start with the installation. So first you need to check the prerequisite: Node.js version 10 or above, NPM version 5 and above, and Git version 2.14.1 and above. You can either use Expo CLI or React Native CLI for creating a React Native application. You need to sign up with the AWS account to use AWS Amplify. You first need to install an npm package for the AWS Amplify CLI. You need to open the terminal and paste this npm install command to install AWS Amplify CLI. So once the AWS Amplify CLI has been installed, the second thing you need to do is you need to configure AWS Amplify using this command. So it's amplify configure. It will automatically redirect you to the AWS console login page. You just need to provide your login credentials. Once you're login, go back to the command line and here you need to just enter to continue. The first thing you will be asked is to select the region which you plan to use for this application. So I'll be going for AP South 1. That's Mumbai region, and click on enter. You need to specify the username of the new IAM user which you will be creating for this application. You can either go for the default name which is provided by the CLI, or you can create your own name by typing in the name of the user you want to create. So I'll just type in a name for this. So I'll be creating a new IAM user with the name Amplify admin user. Just click on enter. That will redirect you to the IAM setup page where you are creating the new user for your application. So you need to specify the access type. So for this it will be a programmatic access. So I'll just click on permissions. Then here I need to specify the administrator access for this IAM user. Then click on tags. If you want to add tags, you can go for it, but that's optional. Go for review. Then create user. So your user has been created and you will be provided with the access key ID and the secret access. You always need to keep these credentials very secret. You should not be sharing it with anyone. For this tutorial, I'll be showing you my access credentials and access keys, but I'll be deleting it right away once this recording has been completed. So always take a note of that. I will just download the credentials which has been created, the access key ID and the secret access key. Now again go back to the command line and you need to press an enter to continue. So you need to give the access key of the newly created user followed by the secret access key. Then you need to specify the profile name which you plan to use. So for me, I'll just go with the default profile name. That's it. So you have successfully set up the new user for AWS Amplify. This is all about how you install AWS Amplify on your local machines and then you configure AWS Amplify using CLI. To start with React Native application creation, you can either go with the React Native CLI or you can go with the Expo libraries which help you create the React Native application. So for now, I'll be going with the Expo CLI. So I'll just install the Expo CLI first, then followed by the creation of the application. So I'm installing the Expo CLI. Once Expo CLI has been installed, you need to create your React Native application using a command called as expo init and followed by the name of the application which you plan to create. So I'll be creating an application called to-do app and just enter. Then you select the template using which you need to create the application. So I'll just select the blank template. Once your React Native application has been created, just go to the application folder and then you need to execute Amplify init. That will initiate Amplify on your React Native application. It will ask you for the name of the project. So I'll just go for to-do app. Then you need to specify the environment for the application. So this would be a dev environment. So I'll just go with dev. And then I need to select the default editor for this application. I'm good with Visual Studio Code. So I'll just select Visual Studio Code. It will ask which is the type of development technology you are using. So this is a React Native application. So this is a JavaScript application. So I just select JavaScript. Then it will ask me the framework which I'm using. This is a React Native application. So I'll just select React Native and then specify the source directory. So this is the root directory. So I can just select this. Distribution is also the same. Then you need to specify the build command. So this will be good for me. The build command is npm run script build. So I can just go for that. Start command is also the same with start at the end of the script. Default provider is AWS CloudFormation. That's okay. And it's starting the build process. So it will ask whether you want to use an AWS profile. So I'll be using an AWS profile. It will ask you to select the AWS profile which I want to continue with. So I just created a default profile when I was logging into the AWS configure. So I can just go with default. Now it started to build all the different components required to set up this application on AWS Amplify. Awesome. So the setup has been done. The next thing we need to do is we need to install some libraries specific to AWS Amplify inside our project. We'll be doing that by using npm install. So once the installation is done, just open the code in Visual Studio Code editor. Here you will find a file with the name of app.js. You need to import the AWS Amplify library and you need to specify the configuration of your AWS there. So we'll just copy this line of code and add it to app.js. Go to the start of the application and just paste it there. So that's it, your configuration is done with AWS Amplify. Now let's try to add GraphQL API and database to this application. So first you need to add the API feature to the Amplify. So you need to specify Amplify add API. Here you will be asked to specify which type of service you want to use. So I'll be going for GraphQL. Then you need to specify the name of the API. So I'll be just going with to-do API. Then you need to specify which is the type of authentication you want to use with the API. I will go with API key. If you want to describe the API key, you can just give a description. Then you need to specify how many days from now the API will expire. So you can give a range of date from 1 to 365. by default it is 7, so I'll be going with 7. You can add some extra configuration settings to the GraphQL API, so you can just go with yes, I want to make some additional changes. Then you can specify the auth type, so if you want to add some new auth type, you can go for auth type, or else you can just say no. Do you have an annotated GraphQL schema? If you have your own GraphQL schema, you can go with that. Otherwise, you can just say no, and this will automatically create a GraphQL schema for you. Then it will ask if the schema template you want to use is a one-to-one template or one-to-many relationship template. So for this demo, we'll be using a single object with field. So now a schema has been created for you. So if you want to edit the schema, you can just go for it. No, I don't want to edit this schema. I can go with the default one. So as soon as it is done, you will find a schema.graphql file created under the section of Amplify Backend, API, To-Do API and schema.graphql. This is the schema which has been created for your application. You can go ahead and update the schema as per your requirement, and then you are good to go. Once you are done with the schema, you need to type amplify push. So this will push all your schemas, all your authentication, all your applications, structure, the infrastructure and the backend to the AWS cloud. So you just specify amplify push. So it will ask for a confirmation. So I'm creating this API feature to the AWS cloud formation. That operation will be a type of create operation, and the resource name is to do API. So it will ask for a confirmation for me to continue. So I can just give yes. Then it will ask you if you want to generate code for your newly created GraphQL API. I will just specify yes. Then you will be asked to choose the code generation language target. So I'll be going for JavaScript. You will be asked to enter the file name pattern of GraphQL queries, mutation and subscription. So I'll go with the default structure, that is of .js. And do you want to generate all possible GraphQL operations? That would be like querying, mutation and subscription. You can just go with yes. And then you need to specify the maximum statement depth. This is specific to the query or the schema execution, so you can just keep it as default. Now this will create all the resources required for the API structure to be created. This may take some time to configure. So awesome, your GraphQL endpoint has been created, and you can also see the API key which has been provided to you. Once you are done with pushing all your GraphQL changes to the AWS Amplify, you will get a folder called as GraphQL under the SRC folder. Just open the GraphQL and you will find some JS files which includes mutation, query, subscription and schema.json. The things which you need to check is the mutation.js. So if you see, this is an auto-generated file. So this has the create to do, update to do and delete to do queries, GraphQL queries. And if you see the queries.js, you will find get to do and least to do queries. And the same, if you go to subscription.js, you will find some triggers which includes on create to do, on update to do and on delete to do. So this is all auto generated by the Amplify CLI. Now quickly just try out how GraphQL works from the AWS console. Here search for AppSync, which is the tool which collaborates with GraphQL. Here you will find the API which we just created, that is to do API, and the environment, that is dev. And here if you just click the define the schema, you will be able to edit the schema which we have created, and you can go ahead and run a query on the schema which has been generated. So just go and run your query. We will just try to list out all the to-dos and try to create some to-dos. So for quick documentation, you will find the documentation explorer here. Here there are 3 different sections to the GraphQL schema, that is query, mutation and subscription, which we have seen in the code base as well. When you open queries, you will find all the list of queries which are available with your GraphQL schema. So we have the get to do and the list to do queries. So we'll just try out the list to do query. We'll come here and define a query. So you specify query followed by the name. I will just name it as list. Then specify which query you want to execute. I will be executing the list to do query. Here I need to specify what is the output I expect from this query. So I just need the model to do connections data. So there I need to provide the items which I want to query. So I'll just specify this, followed by what are the different fields I want from the query. So I need ID, I need name, I need description, created at, and updated at. So we'll just try this out, and if let's see if we get any result. Okay, so there is no items in the to-do list. So now let's try to create a new entry to to-do list. So that you can do by mutation. Just click on mutation, and there is this function of create to do. So I'll just create one more query of mutation and name the query as create, followed by what is the mutation I want to trigger. So that would be create to do mutation, and then I need to specify the input. So if you just click on this, you will find that you need to specify the input of what data you want to provide. Just specify the input. So my input needs to have ID, name, and description. So I'll just provide ID, name, and description. Then you need to specify the return object, that is the to do. So what do you want to return when this query has been executed? You specify I need ID, name, and description. Okay, so I'll just try to execute this query of create. So I just created the entry of ID, name, and description. Let's go ahead and create one more new entry. So I can either update this query itself, or I can create a new query. So I'll just update this query here. So I'll create a new entry that with ID 124. Now if I try to list, I will get both the entries here. So this is how you write queries, and this is how you create entries to GraphQL. Now let's quickly start the integration of the GraphQL API with the application which we are trying to develop using React Native. So let's create two features, that is to add to-do list and to list all the to-do data which we have in the GraphQL database. So let me quickly add those codes here. That's it. So I created two functions to fetch all the to-do list and add new to-do list if I want to add, and accordingly made some changes to the UI code as well. So now let's try to run this application. So I'll just say expo start. So this should build the application. So we just ran the application, and if you can see, the list of the to-do has been added here. So we had added two different entries to the to-do list. So this is what you can see. Now let's try to add from this UI. I'll just add AWS Amplify. So let's try to create a new entry here. Awesome. So if you see, the new entry has been added here, and you will find the same in the database as well. That's how you integrate your API with the front-end React Native application, and you can just go ahead and create a build out of this and run it on an Android or iOS mobiles. Let's try to add authentication to our application, which is kind of one of the most important factor of an app. So you need to type amplify add auth, the same as we just added API. In the same way, you need to just specify amplify add auth, which is the feature of Amplify. Here you will be asked to specify the type of sign-in which you want the user to do. So that can be by using a username, or by using email, or by using phone number, or by using a combination of email or phone number, and you will be able to have that integration right away. So for this application, we will just go with the username. So you just select username. Then if you want to do advanced configuration, you can go ahead and select yes, I want to make some more additional changes to the authentication, or else if you can just go to no, I am done. So I'll just go with no. Awesome. And as the tradition says, you need to do an amplify push. So now if you see, the API feature was already added, so there was no change in there, and there is a new feature being created, that is for authentication. So if you see, the operation for authentication is create, So we'll just continue with the deployment. Now we just have to add 2 lines to our code in the app.js. That is to import with authenticator feature, and then you need to specify an export to that. So you import this with authenticator and just you specify that with the export. So that's how you add authentication code to your application. Now let's test it out how it works. So now when you come to the application, first you need to sign in for your account. So first of all, as I don't have an account, I first need to go to sign up. So here you need to specify the username which you want for your application, then the password you want to set, then the email ID you want to add. You can just add your email ID here, and then the phone number you want to add, and hit sign up. Once you sign up, you will be getting a confirmation code on your specified email ID. So just hop on to your email ID and get the confirmation code. So here you have your verification code. So just copy your verification code and put your code here and just click on confirm. Then let's try to log into our application with your username and password. So hooray, we were able to log into our application. So now we have integration of the backend with API interface, and then we have an integration with authentication which uses a username password type of authentication to connect to your API. So this all happens with the AWS backend features and AWS backend services like AWS Cognito, and then we have AWS App Sync which uses GraphQL to do the connections and storage of your details to your database. So that's how the entire system happens. Now let's speak about review and rate different features of AWS Amplify. So first of all, when it comes to setup of AWS Amplify, it's very straightforward by using AWS CLI. So that's the reason we'll be giving it a 10 out of 10 when it comes to setup. Now let's speak about integration. Integrating features to application is by using the CLI command, and later minor changes has to be done to the application code to finish the integration, like an integration with the API or an integration with the auth. We have to execute a CLI command and then we need to have some code added to the application. And other than that, there are a lot of integrations and libraries available for different programming language, but still it lacks integration for few popular languages like Flutter, which is supported by other similar services like Firebase. So we'll be rating this at 9 out of 10. When it comes to deployment, it's easily deployable just by command like amplify push, and that's it. Your entire application backend gets deployed and running. And also, if you want to host your application on AWS Amplify, you can just simply say amplify publish. That will deploy your application and generate an hosted URL for your application which you can access from the internet. We'll be rating it at 10 out of 10. As always, pricing of AWS is at the atomic level of each services, and to use Amplify framework, it's free of cost. You just need to pay for the AWS services which you are using. For static web hosting, you have a pricing model of 1000 build minute per month for the free tier, and in the same free tier you have like 5 GB of storage per month free, and you have 15 GB of serves per month. For static web hosting, pay as you go model, which happens after your free tier has been completed. So that would be like, for building and deploying your application, it will be like $0.01 per build minutes, and for hosting it would be like $0.023 per GB stored per month, and if it is for GB served, it would be $0.15 per GB served. So we'll be rating pricing at 10 out of 10. That said, this is all about AWS Amplify. As I said in the start of the video, we are just scratching the surface of features which AWS Amplify provides. If you want a detailed video with more real life examples, then let me know in the comments so that I can make some videos on it. Also, please like the video if you found it useful, and subscribe to my channel and click on the notification button so that I could reach out to you with more such videos. Thank you.